Hi, everyone. Hope you had a great week. I'm so excited to teach all of you today, and I'm glad that you've joined me on Sunday morning from 10 to 11. I much appreciate it. And as you know, my whole mission, and I'm doing this for free, I don't get compensated, I don't have a KPI at school related to me doing this on my Sunday mornings. I really feel for Vietnam to be successful over the next decade and longer, that we need many more entrepreneurs, many more new ideas to create companies that when you graduate, there are opportunities for everyone, and that the tariffs won't be able to impact Vietnam in the way they're being impacted now, because we'll be developing our own products and services. Also, this will give you a great opportunity to increase your chances of getting into VinUni and other schools that you might apply to. And I hope that all of you will be joining our business plan competition. It was the first high school business plan competition in Asia. And I'm hoping that all of you will be participating this year. So let's start off with our second class, which is describing the solution for the problem. And one of the things I always say to people is if I can't describe my solution in a way that my mom can describe it to her mahjong group, and my mom is 87 years old, then I have to rethink about how I am explaining what I do. So objectives of this session are: learn the key components of a clear and compelling solution, easy to understand, how to align your solution with a specific problem, and how to develop and refine solutions through feedback. So what's the solution? It addresses a specific problem or opportunity. And whatever solution you come up with, somebody has got to be willing to pay for that solution, whether it's direct to the consumer or business to business, or a foundation says that they'll sponsor what you're doing because they think it's important. Somebody has to see enough value that they are willing to spend money on it. Example, Grab Bike addresses a specific problem, which, by the way, this is only going to be more impactful and more important because of congestion and lack of affordable transportation. So Grab Bike, being able to pick people up and take them, and reducing the number of cars has been great for Vietnam and Hanoi in general. And of course, after the new year, they're looking to eliminate motorcyclists coming into Hanoi in order to reduce pollution. So clear components of a compelling solution. Clarity. What is the solution and how does it work? So I created an online application for bank loan officers to use called Funding Organizer. And it allowed bank loan officers to collect all of the information for a loan. Instead of taking 48 weeks, it took 1 day. In fact, it could be as fast as an hour. So I had a very easy one-sentence description of what my solution is and how it works. And it can be realistically implemented. You can't create something that nobody can implement, that you come up with an idea that right now, technologically, it's not possible to do. So right now, you couldn't come up with a cure for cancer that would take 1 day. Research has been going on and billions of dollars have been spent, but you could come up with an idea that over time may be able to cure cancer, a certain type of cancer, over a shorter period of time, or it might prolong someone's life longer. But it has to be realistic, and it has to be feasible. And does it directly address the identified problem? I know with my loan officers that I dealt with from different banks, that a big problem for them was collecting all this information, how long it took. And by the time they collected it, sometimes the company didn't need the money anymore. Or if you look at getting tutoring for learning English language. English is the most spoken language outside of Chinese. And if you eliminate Chinese, the second biggest language spoken, and only 6% of the world speak it, is Spanish. And so a big problem is having a universal language that people can speak to each other and do business with each other. And English is that. And so that's why there's more English language learning centers in Vietnam. And the major CEOs like Mr. Vong from Vingroup feels that everybody should speak English as a second language in order for Vietnam to be one of the top 5 or 10 economies in the world. And you have to ask yourself, how does it improve the situation? So there are people making new knee braces that are much more flexible than when I was your age, where you couldn't really play a sport, your leg was very stiff. But over time, engineers have come up with knee braces that give you great flexibility, that they're comfortable, they're not bulky. And so that has worked out quite well. Aligning the solution to a problem. You have to address the root cause. The solution must directly address the root cause of the problem. Why is this a problem? It has to get to, like, for instance, all of you who've traveled in the airport, when I was your age, people carried suitcases with no wheels. A big problem was that once we started to have more security because of terrorism, people's backs started to hurt them. People found it was too cumbersome to travel. So the luggage people had to come up with a way for people wanting to travel more. So they put wheels on luggage so that way you can just drag your luggage. You didn't have to carry it anymore. So the root problem was that people's backs were hurting. It was too hard to carry because when I was your age, people would go directly to the terminal and to the gate where their plane was. So you would drop off the airport. Your travel agent had already sent you your ticket. You didn't go, rarely did you go to the counter. You had your ticket and you walked directly to the gate. You didn't come 2-3 hours in advance. You didn't have to go through all these checkpoints. So now they made it easier by having your suitcase having wheels. Also, what have the airlines done? The airlines have made it easier that you can download your ticket without standing in a long line unless you have to drop off your luggage. So if you have just one piece of luggage and a backpack and you're going on the plane, then you already have your ticket and you go through, no problem. Key questions. Does this solve the problem completely? Is it accessible to the people who need it? So that's very important. So if we're doing English language learning, can everybody access it? Can everybody afford to get that kind of training? And so the internet has also made that much easier because you can go on YouTube and other places and get free English language learning. So all you need is an internet connection. And in Vietnam, 80% of people have internet connections and the rest can go to a place and get it. So there's 100% coverage, even in rural areas. An example, Eco Vietnam's reusable straws address single-use plastic waste. So now some people are carrying straws on them that they're taking with them when they're going anywhere and drinking with their own straw and cleaning their own straw. Types of solutions, a tangible item, solar lamps for areas without electricity. They even have solar-powered laptops that were created by a professor at MIT. So if electric was hard to come by and you're in an area with lots of sunshine, you can get solar-powered lamps, solar-powered flashlights, solar-powered laptops. Service, offering a Grab Bikes ride-hailing service. Technology, digital solutions, an app for mental health support. Mental health has become a big issue, not just in Vietnam, but throughout Asia. And these solutions are very powerful. A process, a new way of doing things, faster food delivery for logistics. Hence the Grab drivers dropping off food for you as opposed to you having to run and do the pickup or try to get another taxi to do it. Or if the restaurant has people who drop off and deliver, It could take hours until you got your own. So grab solve that problem. Matching solutions to problems. Understand your audience and who who faces the problem. The loan officers told me at the banks, oh my God, it takes us 4 to 8 weeks. Every day we send an email to the people who are applying for these loans and then have to follow up with a second email to get the information they wanted. So I asked him, what if we created this online application? And 10 loan officers worked with me to improve that situation. Consider resources and constraints. Evaluate available resources and limitations. So there were really no limitations in my developing this particular app, but there are limitations in certain types of available resources. So we know that electricity has become a limited resource because the number of data centers and electric cars have come online. So they have to figure out how to increase that. Cryptocurrency takes up a lot of energy. So if you're going to start something that's going to require a lot of energy, electric power, then you have to really reconsider, are you able to offer this to the masses or your intended markets? And is that really doable? An example also would be a low-cost mobile app to connect farmers with buyers in rural areas. Connecting buyers, that could be individuals who want farm to table, it could be restaurants, it could be small mom and pop stores that want to offer fruits and vegetables, and it could be the big stores. So you have to match up your solution with the problem and see that it is feasible to go and do. Visualizing the solution. Create visual aids, a simple sketch, a flow chart, or a prototype. Today, we can just go on chat and give a description in the chat, and it will create the flow chart, the sketch, whatever it is that you need. All you have to do is either tell it verbally, or you can write it all out, and then you can keep enhancing it as you're going. Visual tools help explain the solution clearly. 63% of people prefer to visually see something rather than just hear something. A diagram of an app interface for a food donation platform that shows you how you do it. Great. If you go to my funding organizer website, there's a video that shows you in 1 minute exactly how my solution works. Does anyone have any questions? And if you do, please, you can put them into chat and I will definitely answer those for you. So please don't hesitate to put things into chat. So I'm going to write as a message, write your questions in chat and I will be glad to answer them for you. Okay. And of course, at the end, I'll be glad to answer all questions. So, successful solution development. You have a problem, high school dropout rates in rural areas. The solution, making a mobile classroom with volunteer teachers. So if they're dropping out because they have to help their families on their farms, or it's hard to get to school, having a mobile classroom, doing teaching online as we're doing right now, and having people being willing to volunteer to teach different subjects is a solution. This actual solution happened and it improved literacy rates by 30% in 1 year. The importance of feasibility. You have to determine if your idea is feasible or not. So you have to assess resources, skills, and time needed. Even if you have a great idea, you have to see, can I put together the right team to do it? Can I get the right capital to support my idea? Are there people available to do the kind of work I need to get done? Example, a water filtration startup used low-cost, locally available materials for filters. 70% of startups fail due to execution issues. And I would say that that number is even greater than that. Rarely do people fail because they don't have enough money, because if you have a good product or service, you'll get customers and you'll be fine. If you have a great idea and it's growing fast, there'll be angel investors, venture capitalists, and other people who want to invest in your idea. So you're always going to have people that will step up and provide you with the capital if you're being successful. People always ask me, if I'm in a rural area, will they find me? If they hear about your success, people in Silicon Valley, California will know who you are, and they will send somebody to you in order to ask you if you would take their money because you're being so successful. Testing your solution. You need to gather initial feedback through small scale trials. So if you're baking cupcakes and you've decided to take a different tack than the traditional cupcake, maybe you're putting marshmallows inside it. So before you go and try to mass sell this product, you want to taste it, have your friends test it, taste it. And then you want to have a larger group of other people test it and get their feedback. And you might find out, oh, you need to melt the marshmallow a little bit more. Oh, having chocolate on top of the cupcake would really enhance the flavor and give you a good sugar rush. So you need to test these ideas out. If you're creating a mobile game, you want to test it out with a few people to find out what's the response on the game. Would they want to share that with other people? Every great success story you've ever heard has all been done by word of mouth. They haven't spent much money on advertising. And today, you can advertise for free by posting things on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and other social media. Once you gather feedback, you adjust based on your user feedback, and then you improve on it. Here, an example would be a tutoring app tested with 50 students to refine its features until everybody said, oh my God, this works amazing. That happened with my app, Funding Organizer. I created another service called Expert Speakers, and we kept improving on how we collected and shared that information, collecting it from the speakers, sharing it with the organizations that were hiring the speakers. An activity, outlining your solution. Choose a problem and brainstorm about it. Then describe the solution, what is the solution, and identify who would benefit and explain how does that work. So I want all of you, and I'm going to send out a note to everybody who signed up, because we had over 100 people sign up for this class. And I want all of you to think about a problem that you want to go after or an opportunity. And the difference, as I explained the last class, a problem is somebody's willing to pay to have something solved. So that could be English Language Learning Center. That could be someone need accounting software because their business has grown to the point that they need a better way to manage their finances. But an opportunity would be, hey, there are 10,000 Americans living in the city of Hanoi and they miss their sports bars in America. I'm going to go and start a sports bar that's focused on Americans. Do they wake up saying, I must have this? No. But would it be a nice to have, and could it attract people? Absolutely. All the restaurants that are started in Vietnam, nobody is waking up and saying, oh my God, I wish there was another Vietnamese restaurant, or I wish there was pizza, and if I don't have it, I'm not going to survive. No. People, in that case, it's an opportunity, and people say, hey, if I create this and it's good, people will come, and I know they have to eat. So I think if I start this and I'm unique enough and it's tasty enough, well, I'll be successful. Tips for outlining solutions. Be specific about what your solution does. Use visuals to show examples. Keep it simple. Again, the simpler the better, because you want people to easily be able to describe what you're doing. So I wrote the plan to start the MBA program that we have, the Master's in Business Administration, and it's focused on how to use AI to create new products and services as an entrepreneur, that means starting your own business, or an intrapreneur where you're working for a big company like Samsung or Vitamilk or Viatel or Vingroup. And so you want to keep whatever you've written simple so anybody can explain it and it's easily executable. Example, students lack affordable school supplies. Solution, buy one, give one model for school materials. So there's Bumpus socks, and every pair of socks that you buy, the owner of that company donates a pair of socks. And there are folks who do that with shoes and other things so other people can afford it. Obviously, the margins are so great that they can afford to go and give one pair away for free. Some people could say, wait a minute, that must mean I'm paying twice as much as I should be paying. But no, at the end of the day, we need to help mankind. We need to help everyone have a fair shot at having a quality life and be able to live their dreams. How does it work? Customers buy a notebook and one's donated to a needed student, to a student in need. Peer review session, you swap outlines with a partner. So if you've got friends who are also taking this class and you come up with an idea, ask them, what do you think of this idea? Don't tell me what I want to hear. Be honest with me. Where do you think I'm not explaining this well? Do you think this is something that people would want? So if you created a mobile game to teach kids about Vietnam's history, you would show your friends, is this something that kids would like to play? Would you like to play this? Do you think this would be good for me to go and create this game and sell this online? What do you think? And then you get constructive feedback. Is my solution clear? Does it address the problem effectively? How could I improve it? So you're a dog walker and you ask people, so what should I be doing with the dogs besides walking them to show the owner that I'm creating a great environment for their dogs? So your friends might say, hey, you should always provide treats for the dogs. Or once a year on the dog's birthday, give the dog a gift. And so the people who own the dogs will see that you really love their dog, that it's not just a business, that you really care, because people a lot of times care more about their pets than they do about their own kids. Key questions for peer review. Is the problem clearly addressed? Does the solution seem feasible? Can the solution be communicated to others easily? Am I doing a good job of explaining this? Just like I hope I'm doing a good job of explaining today's topic. Refining your solution. Incorporate feedback from your peer review. When we are developing anything at VinUnivesity, we start off with writing out our thoughts. We come up with a plan, and then we share that plan with the targeted audience to see if what we're offering would be valuable to them. Would they actually use it? Would they take advantage of it? And did they think it's valuable enough? Most importantly, valuable enough to pay for whatever that is. This coming week, I'm meeting with the MBA class, and my boss had met with the same class, and he was talking about our global immersion program. We're going to take our students to a university in the Netherlands for a week of learning and experiencing the culture, sightseeing, eating different types of foods, and so forth. So my boss, the dean, said, they didn't seem that excited about it. So now I'm going to make a presentation to them this Saturday, and now I have to tell them, here is what the plan is, and lay it out for them visually, and show them video of where we're going in the Netherlands, and then getting their feedback, because they might come back with feedback and said, I love this whole idea of a global immersion program, but I'm not that interested in the Netherlands, but I really would be interested in China or South Korea, because I think I can develop contacts there that would lead to new business. So that may be the way you're refining your solution. Real world example, Vietnamese entrepreneur created the inexpensive airline VietJet, Win Tai Fong Tao, and she made airline travel accessible to millions of people because she kept the ticket price low. I know for many people who take that low cost airline, I've done it many times. A lot of times, the time they give you changes, but it's usually within a half an hour to an hour, and it's pretty rare they cancel the flight totally. But she's created a way for people to be able to almost anybody can afford to travel, especially somewhere here in Vietnam. Uh, Recapping, building a strong solution, define the solution clearly, align it with an identified problem. Again, solving a problem that people be willing to pay for is really important, and it makes your life a lot easier. And it's easier to even get people who want to fund your idea. Test and refine based on feedback. Focus on clarity, feasibility, relevance, and impact. Make sure that what you're doing, again, somebody wants to pay for and they see it being valuable. So let me open up to any questions. If you could type your questions here, that would be awesome. Do you have any tips or any advice on the recent SEIA participants? You're talking about yesterday's event that I was one of the judges. Yes. So I think that was some of the people who did really well were able to tell a story, and they did it in a logical way. And so when you are raising money or you're trying to start a new venture, you have to be able to tell your story in a way that people can understand it and connect with it. So that's why it's very important to be able to tell that story in a logical way. So, as an example, yesterday we had two cases. One was a business plan for an idea, and I'm forgetting what the idea was. Maybe you can write it down on here, what each of the two ideas was, because now I'm forgetting what they were. But let's just say, for instance, that you are starting an electric bike company. And so you would say, hey, the problem is that people, when they have to ride up and down, up hills, it gets very difficult for them, especially older riders. And it would be great if we had an electric bike that helped you pedal up hills. Well, then the next question would be, well, how big is the market for this? How many hills are there in the places that you think you would sell them, and how many people live in those places, and how much would an electric bike cost, and would they be willing to pay for an electric bike? So let's say in a province where there are a lot of hills, and let's say there are 50,000 people who live there, and let's say out of 50,000, 10,000 prefer to ride bikes, and out of 10,000, what percentage of those people could actually afford to buy an electric bike? So maybe it's 5% of the 10,000, and so now you're down to 500 people. Would that be enough bikes to sell in a year to be able to make a living doing it? And how many other places would you need to find? Okay, so we have another information here. Yes, I was, by the way, a judge yesterday afternoon at Concordia School, judging a case competition with two different cases. The principles requires willingness to pay, but for issues like rural education, beneficiaries often lack funds. So how can you ensure financial sustainability to these solutions? Okay, so let's say that the province feels this is a real problem and it's prohibiting them from attracting businesses, attracting foreign companies to build manufacturing plants there because the people don't have the right education. So maybe the province or the national government would provide funding for this, like a grant. Maybe there's a foundation like the Vong's Foundation that would see this as important to the strategic success of Vietnam, so they would provide this. It could be that a company like Microsoft, who believes that if we could educate more people, they could sell more more of their programs. And so maybe Microsoft would be interested in doing it. Maybe the UN sees this as a way to eliminate poverty and they would provide a grant. So this is an important problem that you bring up. And there's probably some wealthy person, some foundation, some governmental agency, some non-governmental agency who would like to sponsor this. Next question, please. Anybody with any question at all, I'm glad to answer it. Again, I want you to take risk. You're at an age where you can afford to go start a small side business and learn all the principles of business from entrepreneurship. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, is that you have to come up with a product, you have to market it, you have to sell it, you have to service it. So you end up understanding each facet of a business. You keep your own financial records, you go and raise money from outside people, you hire people as you grow, so you learn the HR function. There's no part of a business that you don't learn by being an entrepreneur. That's why I tell people, when you apply to VinUni and you decide you want to apply as an entrepreneur, do not do that. There are no jobs for entrepreneurs, but you should always minor in entrepreneurship, because even when you go on a job interview, you're able to ask questions and answer questions that most people can't ask or answer. Any other questions? Here we go. Let me get the last question here. Should we build a startup with a nice to have, not so urgent, but interesting ideas? I think you should always start out with a must have. If you're in Ocean Park, we must have dog walkers because people are working during the day and nobody's there to walk their dog. Another must-have are elevators in areas so elderly people or people with physical disability can get in and up and down in a building. That's why they build ramps for people with wheelchairs. So nice to have doesn't mean people have to spend money on it. And especially if the economy is tight, then people are definitely only spending money on what they must absolutely have. So again, you're better off always trying to find problems that people are willing to solve. In a wealthy neighborhood in the United States, they're looking for people to mow their lawn, to shovel their snow when it snows. So that's a must-have business that people are willing to spend their money on. Okay, the next question here is, how can I convince others to believe in my idea when I'm still young? And what are the fatal mistakes you think young startups often make? So if you want people to believe in your idea, you have to show them third-party facts that this idea is a real and a problem. You have to get quotes from people that your potential investors can talk to. You have to show them that you can create this product on your own and demo it so they can see it. So there was a girl that was featured in Inc. magazine, and she was 15 years old, and she learned how to develop websites. She got so good at it that within 2 years, she had 30 other students helping her design websites. She had a $3 million business, and over time, she bought each of her parents, they were divorced, each of her parents a house. So how you convince people is providing them with facts, showing them that you know how to build it and run it, showing them a sample of what you've done, or showing them some clients that you've been able to get. Again, in the beginning, it's almost impossible to raise money for anybody of any age. What you have to do is get an MVP, most minimum viable product, whether it's a service or a physical product, and show people what that is. So if it requires a lot of engineering, like I met a guy who started a um, a device to listen to radio shows where it would tape the radio show. That costs 75,000 USD to build this thing. So you're not going to come up with something that requires a lot of money. So come up and solve problems that aren't very expensive. What kind of pricing strategy should a business implement to reduce risk when the price of that product is too elastic? So if the product is constantly changing, really, actually, it doesn't matter. What you have to do is figure out what your actual cost is and add 20 or 25% to what that cost is. And if you cannot get that, then you're not going to do it. So you can't worry about elasticity in the marketplace. What you have to worry about is, can I make this product and charge enough that I can make a living? If I can't, then I'm not doing it. So as an example, in the United States, we cannot go and produce Michael Jordan sneakers for $5 or what is that? 200, $100. We can't do it. But here in Vietnam, you can do it because your wages are lower. You've invested in technology, so you can do it. So anybody who's going to create a factory in the United States is going to have a very hard time competing against Vietnam or Bangladesh for low price. If in fact you're a dog walker and you find out that dog walkers are getting an average of 100,000 dong per walk, then you have to decide, do I want to offer a lower price to beat the competition? Am I willing to work for that amount of money? Is there something else I could do that would pay me more? So I have 15 clients in the US, and some of the clients, if they put in the amount of money they've been making in their job, the price of their product goes sky high. So they have to determine, can I find somebody who can do the work I plan to do at a price that will allow my product to be successful and that I will make a net profit of 20 or 25%. You need to make sure that anything that you do is profitable, and it has to be more profitable, unless you're just having fun, than something else you could do where you could make more money and less stress. And again, when you're doing pricing, you look up and find out what other people are charging. And you think about what your costs are going to be. If you're operating out of your home, that's a big savings. Or let's say there was a woman, she was creating dresses for dogs. And when we priced them, what she was charging was just like 20% over the material. She wasn't factoring in her time. If she factored in her time, she had to triple the price of these outfits for dogs. So I said, you have to make a decision here. Do you want to go at the highest end and only a handful of people buy it? Or do you want to go and have somebody help you do it? Or are you doing this for fun? And so you really get a kick out of people buying it, and you make enough not to lose money, maybe even make a little bit of money. I think what you could do, and I told her, is show people, here are my costs, here is my hourly rate, here's how much it's going to cost me to make that outfit for your dog. So they know what it's going to cost and they can decide, and you never can lose money. I helped a contractor do that as well. He was losing money in every contract, and I created a spreadsheet for him to show his clients so he always made money. Can you give some practical advice for high school students who want to develop a green product but don't know where to start? So I actually would start with AI and ask AI exactly that question and ask them what the lowest cost products that you could develop and see what it comes back with. And after that, you can contact university professors and ask them about ones who focused on green products. what do they think about this idea, or what ideas from their research have they heard would be good for someone to develop, and you can find out which ones are feasible, financially feasible for you to go and develop. But AI is a really great place to start and ask this idea to. I've asked AI lots of questions on lots of business ideas for Vietnam and got remarkably very good, sound answers. How do I generate my business selling point when competing in a highly competitive market where everyone basically sells the same item? We see that a lot in Vietnam. There's like whole streets where everybody is selling toys or selling hardware or any of those kinds of things. Hence why Vietnam has an enormously high failure rate. The failure rate for new businesses in Vietnam is like 92%. Why is it so high? Well, people traditionally have copied other people. So, and they've copied them from their village. Like if somebody saw that somebody was very successful in starting a toy business in Hanoi, they went and visited them and said, oh my gosh, that's why that guy could afford the new house and the new car. I'm going to start a similar business. And since everybody knows where his location is, I'm going to open up a location next to his. Now they make some money and there's enough room for two makers. But when you get to 20 of them, well, there's not enough money, especially if everybody's buying from the same distributors and the profit margins aren't there. So if you're going to go and develop a business, make sure there's only a handful of customers. A handful of competitors. You absolutely want competition because competitors help educate the market. So I started an insurance product to insure small business bank accounts against cyber theft. And the big problem I had was there's nobody else selling it. So I spent all of my investors' money educating the market and I ran out of money. So you don't want to get into a business that there are so many competitors that you're each killing each other on price that you can't make a living. So here in Ocean Park, oh my gosh, there must be 20, 25 coffee shops within a 15-minute walk of mine. And I've seen many of these coffee shops go out of business. And so you have to think about quality of coffee and what kind of facility do you have. So I'm meeting a student today, and his family owns a coffee shop, and it's bright and it has lots of outlets, and you see people working there all day like a Starbucks. So they've differentiated themselves by having this well-lit area and are encouraging people, professionals, to sit there all day drinking coffee and working from there. So you have to think about what you're going to offer that's different. If you're going to offer dog and walking services, but you find there's an area that isn't really serviced, but there's lots of dog walkers in the area, you may be able to carve out, using the same price, enough of a following that you can develop that dog walking business. I have another question. Should we focus on perfecting the product first, or should we accept the simple one first and spend resources on preparing the environment, like user habits, so the product can actually survive? Thank you. So whatever product that you're going to come out with one that at least people can see what it looks like to give you feedback on it. And if you really want to go and sell it, just add more bells and whistles over time. If you probably don't notice, but in the beginning of the cell phones, they actually knew how to create video and all these other things, but they first had to see, would people want mobile phones? It seems like, of course, they would want it, but would they want mobile phones at the price that we have to sell it to them? So mobile phones cost a lot of money in the beginning, and they were big bricks. And not everybody wanted to carry around these big bricks, but they found that enough people wanted cell phones that they kept enhancing it over and over, to the point that you have this amazing device that does tape recording, watches movies, listens to music, listens to a book on tape. You can do spreadsheets, you can do Word documents, so all those things. So the idea is, have enough of the product that you can share it with people. They can utilize it, whether it's a service or a product itself. And then you can keep enhancing that product. When people started hotels, they just said, we're going to provide you with a clean room, a bed, a pillow, a blanket. That's it. Then as people started to get used to going to hotels as opposed to camping out, then they enhanced it and said, oh, you're hungry. We'll create a restaurant connected with it. Oh, you want somebody to go and turn down your sheets every night. And so they just kept enhancing the services more and more to the point that you have these full-blown hotels that provide all kinds of services for you, some of them free, some of them extra you have to pay for. If you notice in the hotels, they knew people get hungry for snacks. They make it easy for you by putting the snacks in the refrigerator. And if they charge you a reasonable price, you're not going to go leave the room and go hunting for snacks. But if it's too expensive, then they're not going to make money and they want high turnover of those snacks. Okay. And again, if I don't answer your question, re-ask it again and tell me what I didn't answer for you, and I'm glad to do it. Do you have any negotiation strategy? Well, excuse me. Do you have any negotiation strategy aside from buying in bulk for economies of scale to reduce the cost of purchasing materials from a supplier? What I have done in the past is I've showed suppliers my business plan and got them to buy in on the product that we were selling and telling them, here is the product, here are the customers I'm selling to, here are customers that are interested. I cannot afford to buy all this in bulk now, but over time you'll have an amazing customer. Some suppliers can afford to do it, some can't. If they really like the product, they will do that for you. If they also really like the product, which happened to me on two of my clients, the vendors wanted to invest in the companies themselves. And so they provide a combination of cash and discounts on development. That was an amazing thing to go and have happen. So again, you can go to any supplier and say to them, this is my projection over the next 5 years. I can be an amazing customer for you. But if you're really, really small and you really can't get to any type of scale, then you have to go and find somebody who could do it at the price you're looking for and with quality. You never want to put anything that isn't of quality out there because you'll be judged by that. So that's very important to be able to do. How do I introduce my products to everyone who's familiar with buying products from their previous sellers? Do you think which niche markets that allow new startups to become unique? So again, I use chat to go and find out about what's the most competitive markets in whatever I'm doing. Like I would not start another hotel in Hanoi, Da Nang, Sapa, because there's so many hotels already there, unless I had such a unique idea that is totally different than anybody else's and thinks it would hit a unique niche. Like one of our students from VinUnivesity, his family bought a bankrupt hotel, and his idea was that in the lobby there would be all kinds of places to take pictures, and they would target 18 to 35-year-olds who love taking pictures all the time. And the hotel became a success in a year. They were profitable like in a year. So that was amazing. I'll get back to you. How do I introduce my product to everyone who's familiar with buying products from a previous seller? You market out there on social media that my product is better than other things that are out there for the following reasons. It's a lower price, it has more bells and whistles, it has a longer warranty, we can return it. Like in Vietnam, which would be a big thing to Westerners, is if you said, I have a 30-day, no questions asked warranty on what I'm selling. I'm telling you, a lot of Westerners would go buy at any store they had, like we do in the United States, where you buy a product, and about 99% of them you can return, including like you bought a suit, you wear it once, you didn't like it, you can return it, get a full refund. You can't return food unless it's bad, but almost everything else you can return. And that's why a lot of times people will buy stuff and never even use it. And they think, I'll return. Some department stores will even take returns as long as a year, whole year, that they'll wait and give you back your money. So it encourages you to be loyal to that store because you know if you get it, you're not happy with it, you can return it. So imagine a department store opening here and advertising, not only do we give great prices, but if you buy it and take it home, you're not happy, just bring it back and refund your money. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions. We have time for one or two more if you have them. If anything I've answered isn't clear or you have a follow-up question, please just type it in the chat. I so enjoy doing this and helping all of you. I expect great things from all of you who are participating. I look forward to having you apply to our competition. Any questions at all? Anybody who missed it will everybody will get a link to the video. I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday. Have a wonderful day.